Another little note that's worth making regards hygiene. A lot of times when you go to a place where there's berries to pick or things to eat, we tend to always want to reach and grab them with our fingers. But it can be very effective and actually somewhat rewarding to actually eat like an animal does. So for example, over here's a really good bush above the browse line here. You just the idea being that you don't actually touch them with your fingers. So if you've been going to the restroom out in the woods, you know, you don't want to worry about hygienic issues. You can just eat off a plant like a deer does. And it makes you feel more like a deer, which is a good way to see more deer. Out in the woods here and trying to get into a MRE. There we go. What do we got here? We got barbecue sauce with beef. This is actually kind of hard to get the light right. So anyway, we're on a bow hunting trip, and hopefully I'll be able to get some good footage in the morning. It's so pretty out there tonight. The stars overhead and the Milky Way. Everything's just unbelievable. It's supposed to come in a thunderstorm, so I brought this tent here that I'm in. Not always real big on taking tents out in the woods, but during the fall of the year, sometimes I like to dress light, but I want to sleep warm. Anyway, this is a nice little tent by Coleman. And during some parts of the year, that purplish maroon doesn't really blend in, but during this time of the year, you can tuck this thing up in some weeds and some bushes, and that dark maroon, dark purple color blends right in with a high mountain fall landscape. And the nice thing is it's got like 110% rainfly coverage, so you got this spare room on the outside to store your gear. See how that kind of comes down, and then you flip it back so it keeps the heat in really well, and it's spacious enough. You can take two people who don't mind being cozy and get in it, but it's a nice little operation. I got that from my grandma when I was young, and I've been using it for 10 or 12 or 15 years, and it's held up real well. Obviously I don't use it a whole lot, but I do use it a couple times a year. And I do use it when I'm going out in real cold weather sometimes, or really wet weather, or if I'm hunting and I need a dry place to keep my gear and stuff like that. So, anyway, boy, what a day. At this picture, you'll see on one side over here acorns, wild cherries, and blueberries, all in the same frame. Last night when I was asleep, I heard some bird alerts and some bird calls happening about 30 to 50 feet up on the hill behind me. And now that I'm passing through here, would you look at how they have torn up the ground. Prime feeding location. Got a heck of a trail going up through here, so sometimes establishing patterns, unless you just want to put out some food and sit above the food, traditional hunting methods involve determining patterns of movement. And what I'm determining from this particular location is that they come over here in the dark, late at night, and feed. And then before sunrise they head back up the valley and they bed down during the day. So it's going to be a matter, I think the best time to intercept them is going to be late at night on their way here, or dusk. as opposed to dawn. I've had a few good dawn hunting sessions. If you're going to catch them at dawn, it's going to be up the valley where they lay down, not down here where the food is. This particular group. Look at the acorns in here. There's just acorns all over the place. Those are all acorns there, piled up. A #1 feeding ground. I don't know what genius planted this tree here many years ago, but it's about as wild an apple as you'll find. We call these deer apples. Deer apples definitely add to the probability of success. Look at that. Combination of food sources, lots of cover. What a beautiful spot.